There's a song out there, I think it's called something like "I Can't Drive 55." That is definitely true of the traffic that is going zipping past us here on 96th Avenue. So when you've got that problem, what do? Let's find out. Very high traffic, fast traffic road that we're on. And when you've got cars that are just zipping past you, you have to come up with a solution to make their heads turn. And that's exactly what we did when we created the 55-mile-an-hour garden. The 55-mile-an-hour garden has Supertunia Vista Jazzberry along with the Macedonia Gold Dust, and I am just loving this yellow and purpley pink mix, and that white fence is really striking behind it. So if somebody's driving past and they don't notice these flowers, they're either not paying attention at all or they're sleeping, because this 55-mile-an-hour garden is definitely something that turns heads. Backside of the 55-mile-an-hour garden, we planted a bunch of shrubs a few years back. That way we'd have some big substance staple plants. So we kind of supplement around those shrubs with some annuals, just to give some consistent, always in color splashes. This year we've got the Solenia yellow begonias. Behind it there are some incredible sunflowers that aren't blooming yet, along with some surefire white begonias, cherry cordial begonia, and some sun patience purple. We kind of repeated that pattern as we go along this fence row, and I'm really impressed with that yellow, how it really just stands out and pops in this garden. So some of the shrubs that we have planted, we have the Rosa Sharon. This is one of the pillar varieties, so it's narrow and it's going to get tall. We are a zone 6A garden here, and sometimes in zone 5 and 6 with Rosa Sharons, you'll see exactly what we've got going on here. Some winter dieback. So I had a customer recently send me a picture, quite concerned about the Rosa Sharon because theirs had kind of died back to the ground, which again is common in these parts here of Michigan. But look at this new growth that's coming. So this plant is going to continue to put on growth throughout the summer and flowers. We may have to come through and trim some of these sticks off. They're pretty snappy, so these sticks are dead. So we'll go in and trim them out and then let the pillar just continue to grow and then flower later on this summer. We also have the fluffy arborvitae, which gives us some evergreen color in the winter. And this is a nice, beautiful golden arborvitae. I think these will get about 5 or 6 foot tall as they continue to grow. These here are a little bit stunted, I would say, just because of the winter winds that come whipping across that farmer's field. So they don't have a lot of protection. So I do see a touch of wind damage, but nothing that I'm really too concerned about. We have hydrangea here. I believe this is one of the firelight hydrangeas that'll be blooming later on this summer. We also have a bloomerang lilac, the bloomerang dark purple, and this plant has already flowered. So this gave us some of that early season color. We also have hollies in here because I wanted some more winter interest. And so the hollies, the berry poppins and Mr. Poppins, give us beautiful red berries in the winter. During the summer, they just look really nice as a nice green shrub. Surprisingly enough, we didn't have any oak leaf hydrangeas planted anywhere on the property. So when we planted this bed, I made sure that we had oak leaf hydrangeas included. So this is in full sun, and you can see the blooms have started. So this will be really pretty once it starts to bloom. It's part of the Gatsby series. So once this beautiful Gatsby's hydrangea starts blooming, we'll show you those blooms. Another holly. So like I said, we have to have a male and a female to ensure that we're going to get berries. Another lilac. This garden was kind of symmetrical when we planted it, putting things on both sides and working our way to the middle. Another hydrangea and another Rosa Sharon. Actually, I skipped over another fluffy and then another Rosa Sharon. And you can see too, this Rosa Sharon is consistent with how the other one looks like. It does have some winter dieback on it. Looks like actually a few of these, like the full stem has died. So we'll just trim that out. But I'm also seeing some of these stems are just late. So there is definitely leaves starting on them, even though they're not near as far along as what some of the other branches are. So definitely, if you're in Michigan, be patient with your Rosa Sharon. They're definitely worth it. Beautiful flowers, but you may see a little bit of the dieback due to the hardiness of the plant and the hardiness of where we're at. So a lot of color there in that 55-mile-an-hour garden. The next garden we're going to look at is what we're going to call our full sun garden. We were trying to think of like, how do we name the various gardens? And we can't do all the gardens in one tour because it would just be a forever long video. So we're going to try to be breaking up the various gardens into different groupings based off of what we're going to call the gardens. So at this very far end, I'm in love with this end of the garden. So much color right now, and just vibrant masses of color. Here we have the Color Spears Violet Riot Salvia. Beautiful purple flowers. The honeybees are really enjoying it right now. Next to that, we've got some beautiful pink. This is the Pink Perfusion. A little bit shorter in habit, but look at them. Oh, what a great pairing. Got some sedum here, not flowering yet, but I wanted to show you. I think this is the Bright Idea sedum with its red stems in there, and this is going to get beautiful yellow flowers once it starts blooming. Dianthus is looking really nice. This is part of the Fruit Punch series. All the plants look great. The thing that I think is nice when you're planting in mass is you're not just looking at one plant that's looking good. You can see, you know, when you do a grouping of plants, that they all are doing consistently great. Another Paint the Town grouping of Dianthus. And this is a good place to stop and show you the difference between the Paint the Town. So the Paint the Town Dianthus, if you look closely, has a little bit smaller flowers, and they're singular. It's also a lower growing habit. The Fruit Punch series are larger, puffier double flowers, not as many flowers, but definitely the bigger flowers, and also makes a beautiful presence in the landscape. Heuchera are looking really nice. This is the Heuchera Wildberry with its kind of purplish, blackish foliage, super glossy. It does get some white flowers on it, not super significant, but it's mostly grown just for its foliage. More of the Paint the Town and more of the Fruit Punch Dianthus. We've got a Midnight Sun Weigela that was planted, I think last year, and it's still very small, but it is blooming, so I wanted to point this out to you and show it to you. So this is the Weigela Midnight Sun. Look at that beautiful coppery orange foliage and those beautiful light pink blooms. This is a very compact growing Weigela. I think it only gets about 1 to 2 foot tall and wide, but the foliage is super unique, especially when we'll look at some other Weigelas with the burgundy and the green foliage. This is strikingly different. We got some bright yellow ajuga there that was flowering a few weeks back with beautiful purple blooms. We have a mass planting here of the Hoopla Supertunia, along with the pink cashmere verbena, and then the lemon tart lantana. Rod and I were walking out here the other night, and he said, "Who gave the okay to put Hoopla out here?" He says, "You know that's not my favorite plant." And I says, "Well, just because it's not your favorite doesn't mean it's not other people's favorite." And definitely sales this year have gone to prove that Hoopla is a very popular plant, especially for a new plant variety for this year. So Hoopla has outperformed our sales expectations by a lot. Here's another Weigela. This is the very fine wine, very compact in size, beautiful pink flowers, with that dark black foliage. So you wonder if we have rabbits in the garden, huh? This might just be an answer. I'm not seeing anybody right now, but that is definitely a rabbit nest, and I'm seeing fur in there as well. So that's not cool. But I guess it does go to show that the plants that are in here, the rabbits are not eating. And I would think the verbena would definitely be something the rabbits would be munching on if they wanted to. We've got some ultraviolet, mini vista ultraviolet petunias planted in here with some mini vista whites. They're just kind of sprinkled throughout. We've got some deutzia in here. This is deutzia cherry blossom. It's pretty much done flowering, but just a nice low growing shrub with pale pinkish white flowers. Did I mention we love the paint the town dianthus? Up there on the hill is a peony. This is the Bartzilla peony, intersectional peony. Beautiful yellow blooms. This plant is a new plant, so there's only a couple flowers on it, but our more mature plants have had up to 30 to 40 flowers in one bloom cycle. Some lavender. Here we have the Sweet Romance lavender just starting to put on some flowers. Drops of Jupiter oregano, great foliage color. This will also flower throughout the summer with purple blooms. This is one plant you want to make sure you have the right plant in the right place though, because it does tend to spread. Look how beautiful that yellow is up against that dark foliage of the penstemon. This is the Midnight Masquerade penstemon with the beautiful pink flowers. Really a striking combination, pairing foliage color off of one another. Making our way up and in the middle of the island here, we've got some of the privet. This is the golden ticket. Beautiful golden yellow foliage. The reminiscent rose. Beautiful pink flowers. This is a climbing rose, and it's just starting to bloom. This is one of those plants that I hadn't been out here for probably a week, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, so many things have really started to put on so much flower color that I hadn't seen just a week prior. Tropical rose sun patiens with the beautiful variegated foliage and the rosy pink blooms. Making our way up to clematis because I love clematis. This here is the Happy Jack clematis, deep dark purple blooms. I'll show you the tag down there, just starting. Lots of buds just waiting to show us a beautiful plant full of color. For those of you that have Rosa Sharon or hibiscus in your garden, never fear, it's late to emerge. Ours is too, but this is going to be blooming by August here in Michigan. Kind of walking at the top of the island right now and kind of giving you a downward view of some of the various plants, because there's a lot of things up here on top that have color. Look into the greenhouse right now. The team's out there and they are trimming plants back. That's one thing, we do a lot of trimming on our plants. We are constantly maintaining and making sure that the plants look good before they go to the store or go out on our go out for shipping. Another Woodula, Vino Verde. This is a newer one. Beautiful variegated foliage, deep burgundy with a lime green center. And look at those beautiful magenta red blooms. Really pretty, just totally different and unique compared to other Woodula. There's another Woodula blooming. This one is Wine and Spirits. These were again newly planted, so they're not quite filled out yet, but at least you can kind of see what the flowers and foliage look like. Wine and Spirits got this beautiful dark foliage with the bright white blooms. Honeysuckle Sensation. Beautiful yellow blooms, very fragrant. This plant is like in full bloom right now, and this will continue to bloom throughout the summer. String Theory Amsonia. Beautiful periwinkle blue blooms, and this gets great fall foliage. Shades of orangey, kind of a nice burnt orange. Heading over to another rose. This is the this is the Rise Up Lilac Days. Beautiful pale lavender blooms. A lot of flowers right now and a lot of buds just waiting to open up. A little bit smaller flower form, not a ton of petals, but it is nice and fragrant. Here's a beautiful spirea. This is blue kazoo, kind of a bluish green foliage with these extra large white flowers. Really pretty. So most of the spirea haven't started blooming yet, but this blue kazoo is in its prime right now. Next on the stop is another great clematis. This is probably one of my favorite in the Proven Winner series, although that's not fair to say because there's a lot of them that are great. This is my favorite magenta. We'll go with that. This one here is the Viva Polonia clematis. Look at all of those flowers. So we have 3 plants planted on this structure, 3 different plants. So one Viva Polonia, and then there's 2 different varieties. The reason we plant the different varieties on a structure is because when one's not blooming, maybe the other one will. That way it kind of gives a better chance of the structure always being in color. I've had people ask me about this structure and what it is. It's basically 3 pieces of re-rod that have been zip tied together kind of into a teepee shape. They were spray painted, but the spray paint is kind of starting to rust off. And then the three legs are just tucked into the ground. So it's a super easy trellis to make. This one's probably 8 foot tall. It can be as tall as the re-rod that you have for it. And the plants just kind of mingle around that and grow up. So simple, easy solution to putting a trellis of sorts into your garden. We're going to make our way down back to the ground because there's some beautiful Durvilla that I've got to show you. So Durvilla is a native shrub and it can be grown in just about any location. Sun or shade, it's deer resistant. It can handle just about any type of soil conditions. First one here we're going to show you is the Kodiak Fresh. Beautiful lime green with new growth that is kind of like a burnt orange color. Really vibrant poke of color in the garden. We have that actually planted here by the Boom Chocolata geranium with its deep dark foliage and periwinkle purple blooms. And I think these 2 pair beautifully together, really contrasting nicely with the light and the dark foliage. Next to the Kodiak Fresh is the Durvilla Kodiak Red. Again, beautiful green foliage with red tips this time. And you can see the flowers are starting. This plant doesn't have super significant flowers, but they are little yellow flowers that the pollinators do find and enjoy. And the last one we have here is the Kodiak Orange. And this one has orange tips. One thing I will tell you with the Durvilla is you're going to get the brightest, most intense coloration if they are planted in a full sun area. So although these can be grown in shady areas, you're going to see the best color when grown in full sun. Another great foliage plant that not only has beautiful color but also nice texture is the Sambucus or elderberry lemony lace. Look at that beautiful lacy texture there of the lemony lace. Now this is planted in a full sun garden. For those of you that are further south, probably maybe a part sun garden would be more better suited because I feel like the more sun or more intense sun, you may notice that the leaves start to burn up a little bit. But again, a beautiful splash of color here with that Sambucus. The yellow is just simply stunning. More heuchera, dressed up evening rose, ruffled edges, kind of a purpley, dark purpley leaf, insignificant white flowers. Stand By Me clematis, which the name kind of implies it needs something to stand by it to keep it upright. So Stand By Me clematis is a non-clinging clematis, which is fine, but you'll notice we have it planted here in a tomato cage to keep it upright. And it's just looking really pretty there in that purple tomato cage. Complements the flowers very well. In the front of this bed, we've got the Bermuda Beach Supertunia, planted with a Supertunia Mini Vista Ultramarine. Bermuda Beach has never been my favorite Supertunia, and the reason is the color. The color is great when you have it planted with purples and other colors. But if you get it anywhere near pink, it's It's pink, it's a corally pink, but it doesn't match any other pinks. So now that we've planted it more so with purples, I like the looks of Bermuda Beach. So you just got to find the right plant, the right color to pair things with, sometimes to change your mind on how things look and what your perception of them are. And we're going to end the tour with the Dicentra. This is a Dicentra Pink Diamonds. This is a full sun loving bleeding heart. Beautiful bluish green foliage, nice clusters of pink flowers. And this is one of the first perennials to bloom in the garden and one of the last ones to stop. It was unbelievable to me the first time that I saw this plant. Number one, I was shocked. It was being grown in full sun. But then number two, when I was watching it throughout the summer, it was always in bloom. So this is a very hard-working perennial in the garden if you're looking for something that gives you color all season long. If you enjoyed today's tour and want more information on our Proven Winners Signature Garden here at Garden Crossings, we have an event coming up on June 15. It's a Saturday. It's an all-day event where you will be toured through the gardens. We'll have growers talking about the various plants that are planted. We're going to do behind-the-scene tours. We're going to have speakers, swag bags, lunches, all the fun things. We'll make sure we put a link below for you to register. It is a ticketed event, so you will want to sign up. If you're not local, we will also have information on hotels in the area. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.